Red Bull's domination this season has led to a boring era of racing in Formula One for some, and that has led to calls for rule changes to be made in the near future. Red Bull earned this dominant status simply by understanding the regulations better than anyone else. But that immaculate work done by the Austrian squad has resulted in the drop in ratings of Formula One recently. So the FIA has decided to step in with regulation changes for 2025, but not to the scale that you might be expecting though. The governing body has also given an update on what is happening with the 2026 regulations overhaul as well. Want to know more? Then stick around to find out. Let's start off by talking about the 2026 regulations overhaul. The goal for 2026 is to recuperate 350 kilowatts of electrical energy every lap. This sort of boost towards more electrical power will lead to significant revisions towards both power unit and mechanical platform designs. This regulation overhaul is due in 2 years, which is not a long time considering Formula One standards, but is a bigger cut than what we saw back in 2022, considering that both the engine and the car itself have to embrace changes. The new engine regulations will impact how the car looks in 2026. This is down to the changes made to the hybrid power units, focusing more on electrical power and on the use of sustainable fuels. The power units of 2026 is rumored to be weighing more than 190 kilograms, with the parts weighing as follows. The design of the combustion engine will most likely remain the same as the current power units, with the weight slated to be around 130 kilograms. The turbocharger weighs around 12 kilograms. The MGUK must weigh at least 16 kilograms, and the battery must weigh around at least 35 kilograms. The increase in power unit weight from the current specification to the 2026 one is around 25%. In addition to that, all teams have to use 100% sustainable fuel. The percentage of electrical power has increased by 300%, from 120 kilowatts up to 350 kilowatts, to account for a power output of 475 horsepower. However, with the MGUH being removed from the new engines, only the MGUK is available to recharge the batteries with the recovery of kinetic energy. For every lap the car races, the battery must be provided with electrical energy in some way, and the kinetic recovery is just insufficient. So, in order to facilitate this requirement, fuel is burned to generate electricity. Within the current Formula One engine, out of the 100 kilograms of fuel available for the race, engineers estimate about 30 kilograms of that fuel is being used to generate the electrical power required for the battery. The generation of electrical power could be one issue the team could potentially face in 2026, which was already pointed out by Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner. I think that perhaps where we need to pay urgent attention before it's too late is to look at the ratio between combustion power and electrical power. Horner stated that according to his team's latest simulations, drivers had to shift a gear down on straights on certain circuits just to recuperate energy back into the electrical system. The FIA technical director Nicholas Tambazis made a comment about Horner's concerns regarding the 2026 power units, as he stated that teams have been simulating the new engines in the current specification of cars, which will not be the case for 2026. If one took the 2026 power unit and mounted them on the current cars, probably the result would be the scenario put forward by those who were worried, he said. But in recent months, we have collected a series of very positive developments, so the comments express old positions. We also need to take into account that the engine and chassis will have to evolve together, and it will not be possible to think of one without the other. Tambazis talked about how the FIA behind the scenes have taken a look at energy recovery to see what problems lie beneath and what solutions can be imposed. A lot of work has been done to understand how energy recovery and management will have to be done, and how overtaking can be done based on the aerodynamic configuration, he said. We've carried out many simulations by changing these parameters, and we have found solutions that seem to work adequately. That is one issue. The other issue is the weight of the car. The current generation of Formula One cars weigh around 798 kilograms. That is massive for a single-seater. With the new power unit and other countermeasures, the 2026 cars could weigh over 800 kilograms. The FIA has talked about this and has quoted a reduction of 50 kilograms of weight is possible between the transition of technical rules. Technical director Pat Simons believes that this target is overly ambitious, but believes a weight reduction of about 20 kilograms is possible. But there may be more room for weight reduction considering the car's specification the FIA has released. The gearbox will see a revision, reduced from the current specification of 8 speeds down to just 6 speeds. Tires will be much more compact than the current generation rubber. The width of the cars will be reduced to 190 centimeters from 200 centimeters. The wheelbase of the cars will come down to 340 centimeters from 360 centimeters. Cars being small and light will help in better racing. A nimble car means cornering will be much easier. To go with that, the 2026 car will see a dip in downforce by 40% from the current generation. Also, experts believe that the inclusion of active aerodynamics should further reduce the car drag component. For one, enabling the car to better use electrical deployment and reserves, and second, will allow better close and hard racing. 2026 is still 2 seasons away, and the FIA wants to do something sooner to improve racing within its current grid. A number of drivers have already made statements about the current generation of cars getting harder to drive as developments progress, and have stated that the racing at present is no different to pre-2022 regulations. Carlos Sainz of Ferrari talked about this after the Italian Grand Prix, stating that the 2023 cars are more like the 2020-2021 cars in terms of following the lead car closely. The aim of the 2022 regulations was to enable closer racing and closer following by reducing the amount of dirty air and aero wake left by cars. In 2022, we saw great races and battles, such as the 2022 British GP. But close racing in 2023 has been less evident. The FIA, after a thorough analysis, stated that the team has been able to add huge amounts of downforce over the winter to their cars, resulting in a 50% loss of the gains made by the 2022 regulations. With a lot of design work for 2024 already in the works, the FIA will have a hard time convincing teams with regulation changes for next season unless it's a safety concern. So, the governing body is aiming at 2025, as Tambazzi said that a proper solution to enable closer racing is being worked on. We are studying solutions for 2025, he explained. We have identified some parts of the car to act on, such as the end plate of the front wing, the side of the floor, and the fins inside the wheels. We could lay down somewhat more restrictive rules in these areas. It is clear we no longer have the advantage of 2022, and therefore we know that there is work to be done. While this will help, there is 1 season in between. With the rules staying static between 2023 and 2024, the team will find more ways to add downforce. Therefore, the loss of downforce when following a car will be even greater next season. Also to keep in mind, there is only 1 season after 2025, with 2026 changes on the way. So the changes the FIA are working on for 2025 might not be that big of a deal. It will more likely keep the cars static rather than improving closer racing. Something much similar to 2019 improvements could be what the FIA is planning on to do. The hope is that the 2025 changes can be much more effective than the 2019 ones. But none of these is going to affect Red Bull's dominance. According to Tambazzi, 2025 regulation changes will focus on top body aerodynamics. Red Bull's major performance factor is the underfloor, the part which generates the most downforce. Changing top body aero regs won't hurt Red Bull in the slightest, and this will not allow teams to close the gap to Red Bull as they may like. Teams such as Mercedes and Ferrari might actually be affected in a negative manner by these changes, considering those teams use top body aero much more than the underfloor currently, due to their lack of understanding and depth relative to Red Bull when it comes to underbody aerodynamics. So, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts about the 2026 regulations? Are you happy with what the FIA is doing to improve racing in 2025? Very much into your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section down below. And on your way down, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of our future uploads, to keep yourselves up to date about the 2023 Formula One season.